it makes a great addition to any adventures that's either large, medium, or small. So giving...
Help me, please, help me!
Permission to touch.
They're coming! They're coming!
Hang out for realms in your area. Don't be discouraged if you can't find... Greetings and welcome to another LarpCast video. We have John Hartley here from the Knights of the Howling Moon.
Yep.
Let's see, Legion.
Part of the Rebel Legion.
Part of the Rebel Legion.
Which is a sister group to the 501st.
Okay, and we'll get, if you don't know about what that is, we'll get into that in a bit. And we're going to be talking about the recent event you guys are at to raise funds for children's cancer research.
Yep.
And I guess we'll just start right there. Where was this event?
This place was in Fond du Lac, and
Fond du Lac, Wisconsin?
Yes, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And they invited us. They do it every year, and they get people to shave their heads for charity.
Okay.
And they get their own sponsors. And they invited our groups down there. They thought it was a nice Star Wars presence. You know, get a lot of crowd in, we can interact with crowd, take photos with people, which is what we do.
Sure.
And maybe 500 people getting their head shaved, all to raise money for children's cancer.
Excellent, excellent. So what type of building was this? I mean,
it was a school. It was Fond du Lac
Okay.
High School, yeah. So we're in their gym. There were stalls, there were games for kids, bouncy castles, bake sales, so everything you donated, what you wanted, and it all went to children's cancer.
Okay, excellent. And you've done some of these with the with some of the groups in the past.
Yeah.
You do a big event in Illinois, right?
Yep. We do a lot of work. I mean, I got into it because I like to dress as a Star Wars character. There's a 501st, which is they're all the baddies. That's Vader, Stormtroopers, Bounty Hunters.
Sure.
And the sister group to that is a Rebel Legion.
Okay.
That's Han Solo, Chewie, Luke, Jedi, obviously, and we're the good side. And if you want to dress as a Star Wars character, you get your gear together. You have to have it judged.
Okay.
So you send an application in, and it's got to be movie quality.
Okay.
And if it's not, they decline you.
Right.
So we do a lot of work.
So this would fall more into like a would you define it as a cosplay group or what?
They call themselves a costume group.
Costuming group. Okay.
I've never heard anybody call it cosplay, but it's whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's people dressing up for fun of it.
Right.
And we do a lot of work for charity, especially Make-A-Wish.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of events where people will donate cash, or if they're doing a charity event, they'll request our presence. Like they did in Fond du Lac, they requested us to be there to help their event.
Sure.
And we got two really big events. We got one coming up in June.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Joliet Library in Illinois, and I've heard that is the biggest Star Wars library event in the world.
Really?
Thousands of people attend.
Okay.
And last year, and we're doing it this year again, me and a friend of mine, we choreographed lightsaber fights.
Okay.
So we've been asked again to do it this year, and we put shows on for crowd, and also at Discovery World in Milwaukee.
Okay.
We've been doing that for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we do as lightsaber demos. They charge people entrance to the museum,
Mm-hmm.
and a percentage of that goes to Make-A-Wish. And then if they want to come and see us fight, they've started charging $2 per person.
Okay.
And your entire $2 per person goes to Make-A-Wish. So we do 4 to 5 shows a day, 200 people see us a time.
Well, so you're raising some serious cash.
So that all goes to Make-A-Wish for dressing like a Jedi and waving a lightsaber around. It's brilliant.
Right. That's awesome. That is great.
So it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Did you have any numbers as to how much you raised the last time for Make-A-Wish?
For Make-A-Wish, I mean, if you can do numbers, 5 shows, 200 people, $2 each, whatever that is,
Right.
and that's just from
That's just
lightsaber
from-
fights.
right.
And then the 3,000 or 4,000 people that went through Discovery World,
Mm-hmm.
who paid the entrance fee, and a percentage of that goes to Make-A-Wish. So obviously, museum takes their entrance, and
sure.
then I don't know, maybe it's $5 per person goes to Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
So you're talking an hefty sum. We do that every year, and that's around the world. I mean, people are doing this worldwide. It's not
Sure.
a small thing. It's massive. Rebel Legion's worldwide. 501st is worldwide.
And we'll have a link to all these different groups to their websites below the video here, so you can check them out and see if you want to get involved with them. Just absolutely fantastic to see it. And John's come to some of our live action role play events, and the the theatrical fighting styles and the training that you do have. If you can't tell his accent, he's actually you're from.
Don't say Australia.
No, I'm not going to say Australia. Where in England are you from?
Sheffield.
Sheffield. Okay.
It's Northern England, yeah.
So he doesn't just have the accent, and he's not faking it. He's actually born and bred on location.
It's not a Monty Python accent. It's not a Putin accent.
So you'll be seeing John in a few more of the videos that we're planning on bringing out. So we welcome you to all the other stuff that we're doing. Let's talk a little bit about you have a local group here too that's called the Knights of the Howling Moon.
Yeah.
Tell us how that got started.
Well, when I moved here, I moved from England 6 years ago, and just before that, 3 or 4 years before, I've always done martial arts. I wanted to learn how to use a sword.
Mm-hmm.
I thought swords are the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like everybody, I pick up a bokken, which is a practice katana, and start waving that around. Me and a few friends started doing that, whacking his knuckles and getting injured. Then where I was living in Leeds, there's a place called the Royal Armouries,
Mm-hmm.
which is a massive war museum.
Okay.
And I found their group, and they actually taught medieval weaponry.
Okay.
So I joined them. I trained with them for a couple of years, and it's mainly in European longsword. But I've done sword and shield, poleaxe, whatever medieval weapon you can think of. I've tried at some point. But my main thing is the longsword. So I've trained with that for about 10 years, and it's all based on historical records.
Okay.
So we've looked at the original sword masters. We've got all their original work, and we've studied it.
Okay.
And so all the techniques we use or try and recreate is what they used to use 13th, 14th, 15th century. So it's all historically accurate as far as we can make it. So I trained there for a while, and I moved to America. Couldn't find any groups locally. There's one in Appleton. There's a few in Green Bay and Milwaukee maybe, but it's all this travelling around, especially in winter time. I'll go to Appleton for a while. And then I found a couple of friends locally. Do you want to learn how to use a sword? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went from there. So we've been doing that for nearly 6 years. I've trained a couple of people up, and we call ourselves Knights of the Howling Moon.
How'd you come up with that name? Do you remember?
The wife come up with it. I said I wanted a name for his group, and I didn't want it Sheboygan's sword fighting group. I didn't want anything like that.
Right.
And I always think of like the Knights Templar or the Knights Hospitality. I want something like that, like it's a chapter of Knights. And we have huskies. My wife likes wolves, and she just said Knights of the Howling Moon. So that'll do. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So
sold.
Yeah,
Ready
that's
to
what
go.
we went with. That sounds good to me. So, and then we've been training ever since, and I'll teach people if they want to learn this art, which it is. It's a martial art.
Sure. Yeah.
You've seen some of them records I've shown you. It's so technical. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not like He-Man just waving a sword around, clanking it back. It's such a technical art. It's just such a versatile weapon, and it's really fun. I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years, and I always tell people I know nothing.
Right.
Because there's so much to learn and so much to look into.
Right. So let's jump back into the Rebel Legion. How did the Star Wars groups get started? I mean,
back in, I'm not sure when, but maybe early 90s, somebody called Albin Johnson, he decided, I think he wanted to be a stormtrooper.
Okay.
And he started up a small group, called it the 501st Legion, which is now canon. It's actually in the prequels.
Okay.
When Anakin walks into temple with them clone troopers in blue stripes, that's the 501st Legion.
Okay.
So now it's official. So he set that up. I think it just a small group of fans set it up. They had to figure out everything from casting stormtrooper armor, making it right, making the costumes, and it's just sprung from there.
Okay.
And then a few years later, somebody must have thought, well, if he's just doing Imperials, we've got to have everybody else. Where's Han Solo and Chewie's?
Right.
And Luke's and Leia's. So the Rebel Legion come along after.
Okay.
But to get into Rebel Legion, anybody who wants to dress as a Star Wars character can basically join. But as I said before, your costume has got to be movie quality.
Right. You can't be
no.
Charlie Cheapy, you know.
You don't go to Walmart and buy a Jedi costume. It's got. I had this specifically made. It's handmade from crinkled cotton, so it's same materials what Anakin made it from. Anakin's costumes made from. I've got $400 custom Jedi boots.
Okay.
So everything has to be spot on. This is only part of my costume I'm wearing now.
Sure.
So you imagine somebody wants to do a Darth Vader.
That's a lot.
You're talking $3,000 or $4,000 to make a Darth Vader.
Sure.
But then when you've got your costume together, you get pictures done. You have to send them in, and it has to be judged.
Right.
If it's not up to quality, you're not accepted till it is.
Is there a cost to do the submission?
No.
No.
No. It's a non-profit organisation.
Okay.
So there's no cost. You send your pictures in, they judge you, and they either say, "Yep, you're part of the Rebel Legion." You get your own little badge on their website, or they say, "There's a stripe wrong on your boot for Obi-Wan Kenobi," and it's as strict as that.
Right.
If your costume Rebel Legion, there's a bit more give because there's that many generic Jedi.
Right.
You could be any type of Jedi. This isn't a specific Jedi, so but it's everything's there.
Right.
Every piece of equipment I need is there to be a Jedi, and there's a full list of what you need. You have to stick to that list. If it's not there, you don't get accepted. So if you're talking a stormtrooper, every single part of that armor has to be correct.
Okay.
We have people who build R2-D2s from scratch. It's a movie. It just like it steps off a film set.
Right.
It works. It rolls. It tweets. It beeps. It lights up. It spins around. It does everything.
We've seen some of the folks who are training other people how to make the costumes, how to do the vacuum forming for the stormtrooper stuff, and these are the folks who actually worked on the sets. They actually helped create this stuff, and then because there was such a following, and people wanting to do the same kind of thing, they did it. They're doing it through like Stan Winston School. They're just. And a lot of independents as well. So again, we'll post some of that in the information below the video here.
And a lot of these costumes are handmade. A lot of these fans, they're artists. They know. We've got people in our group who are expert sewers. Right. And they'll sew anything.
Right.
So a lot of costumes are made by the people themselves. Obviously, you can't do everything. So some stuff you buy, and there's companies set up now where you can get this from, but it's not cheap. Right. It's not a cheap hobby. One of my favourite characters is Plo Koon, so I added that to my Jedi costume. So I bought it's a standard mask, but I had to do so much work on it. I had to do these eyes, I had to repaint it completely, convert it, change a lot of it's all filled inside so it's solid, so you have to do a lot of work. Right. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the pictures, and we'll post some of them in the video here as well, of some of the past events that you've done and some of the things. So just really great stuff. And if you're into live action role play, it's a pretty natural fit. If you do cosplay stuff, it's you'll get it in a snap.
Everybody says it's a geeky thing, but I mean that was brought up on Star Wars.
Right.
I saw it original when it first came out when I was 6-year-old. Loved it every day since. And then you find a group where you can dress up as a Jedi. Yeah, too right, I'm doing that. Why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? It's just a natural thing. But it's a big commitment, and we do events. If you look around country, there's probably events every weekend. Okay. We're invited to that many things. We do conventions. We do small stuff like people can request us for their kid's birthday. Okay. So if you want some Jedi, some stormtroopers, or Chewie to come and be at your kid's birthday, you put a request in on site, and they'll try and get some people because you can guarantee there's somebody in your area.
Does it?
So if you want a birthday party at your house,
Mm-hmm.
you might get 2 or 3 stormtroopers or Han Solo or Chewbacca turning up to meet with your kids. In fact, we have a Chewbacca in our base. We've got we're at Wisconsin and Illinois base, with somebody who handmade a Chewbacca costume.
Okay.
And it's perfect. And you see him, he's cast his full mask, his mouth works, and it's sort of a mesh pattern, and every strand of hair is threaded through this thing.
Wow.
And it's about my size, he's about 6 foot, and he's had custom made these big metal 3 foot tall stilts
Okay.
with Wookiee feet on bottom.
Sure.
So he walks around on them, he does noises,
That's amazing.
It's brilliant. So there's that many different varied costumes in Star Wars. You can find something to suit you, from rebel pilots in the orange suits and their helmets. One of my simplest is a rebel trooper from original Star Wars. They all get shot up in that corridor with big white hats. I've got one of them. But then there's room for customizing stuff. I've made. Everybody knows who Boba Fett is and Jango Fett, so we have Bobbas and Jangos. But I've made my own Mandalorian, so you can custom his armor, his colours. So it's whatever you want. It's whatever you want to make it. You can make it. It's your thing, so you do what you want to do.
Right.
We do lightsaber fighting. We're some Ornic people in Rebel Legion that do that, but that's our thing.
Right.
And that was just a natural step for us. We're in a costume group, Star Wars. Somebody says, "Can you do a lightsaber fight?" Yeah, of course we can. How are we going to do that? But then we learned how to choreograph stuff, and then that all sort of come from my sword fighting background, where I sort of used all that original technique and applied it to lightsabers,
Okay.
which is difficult because going from doing something that's a martial art where you're actually trying to hit somebody, and then you're moving away to try and choreograph it,
Right.
it's completely different. But we've got there. We've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. So.
Sure. Yeah. You're just watching the videos between what we've been learning from you, and then watching the theatrical style swingings and really putting on a show. It's like a whole different type of.
A normal sword fight lasts 2 or 3 strikes, and somebody's been hit.
Right.
When you're trying to choreograph a fight for 5 minutes, and then obviously on film it's different because of cutting backwards and forwards, but when you do it live on the stage, you want to give everybody the money's worth, so you're trying to choreograph something for 5 minutes. I find it harder than actual fighting.
Yeah.
It's really difficult because you've got to remember what you're doing, and you're twirling and you're spinning and you're jumping around like a fool, but it's exciting stuff and people like to see us.
So let's talk a little bit about the lightsabers that you're using here. You're gonna have to hold it up a little bit to stay in frame. But where is this from?
This is from a company called Ultra Sabers, which you find on internet, and they're not your Walmart specials.
Right. If you take a look, these are actually these are aluminum. They're lightweight, but they got.
That one's not got any batteries in. There's this one, so it lights up like that.
Okay.
This is a much simpler design, but somebody come along with the idea that people want to use lightsabers to fight with, and if you buy something cheap from a store, give it your kids, it's going to get smashed.
Right.
Especially with my kids, they'll just smash everything up. So they come up with the idea that people want to use these things, they want to play with them.
Sure.
So what they did is they come up with these hilts which are machined aluminium, as we say where I'm from, not aluminum. So they come up with these designs, obviously battery powered. I think this one's got 4 AAA batteries inside it. Lights up pretty nice. You can get there's loads of different hilts on the site. You can have a choice between, I think there's 7 colours: red, blue, green, orange, white, purple. So you can choose your colour, and the blades that we use for these are specifically designed for full contact.
Sure. Yeah, I can see
That one's a little bit different. That I got from a different company. That I use more for trooping when I'm not fighting.
Sure.
Because in daylight these don't show up very well.
Okay.
So if I'm doing a troop, we call them troops when we go to these events. If I'm trooping, I'll use that thing because it's already blue.
Right.
Because this, it just looks like a white stick in sunlight. but when it gets a little bit darker, they light up really nice. But they're some sort of form of polycarbonate blade, and you can really beat them up. I mean, I've got one blade back home. I've been using it for 6 years, and it's more of a practice saber now. But I've beat that to death, and it won't break.
Hold up.
It will not break.
Okay.
So they're really good quality. Prices wise, I think this were $60.
Okay.
And even if you're buying something from Walmart, I mean, you buy a kid's saber, you're talking $20-30,
right?
Which might last a few weeks.
Right.
So what I did, they also have kids versions. So it's for me, it'd be like a one-hand sword.
Right.
It's a short handle, maybe 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So for Christmas, my 2 kids have got one each.
Okay.
And they can beat each other up with them. They'll break, but sabers won't.
Right.
So they'll last forever. So that one's a little bit more expensive. I think that was maybe 120. You can see if you compare it to this one.
Sure.
It's a little bit different design. This one I use strictly for fighting. When I'm fighting or dueling or putting on a show, I don't like all bumps and notches and switches, and
right.
I just want something plain and simple to wave around.
When we're doing with live action role play, we're developing a galactic LARP system that kind of has elements from Star Wars and Star Trek, and obviously we don't call them the same things, and then races and classes and things like we do with our live action role plays. But most of our stuff says you can't have any metal in the handle and the pommel, because at some point a lot of times you'll smash people in the back of the head and do that kind of stuff. So they have to be safe. Callum Massel did come out with a design for a lightsaber, energy sword. I think they actually call it lightsaber.
Did they? I can't remember. I did look at it.
I don't think they're not supposed to say that, because I think lightsaber's pretty trademarked.
I mean, even ultra sabers, they sell them as lightsabers, but they say it's not affiliated with Star Wars or George Lucas. So. And
the handle design, the hilt, and how it was, there was a lot of knobs and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of some of the people in the review were saying was it was too hard to, because it was fighting. Right. It wasn't designed for the fighting. So
that's exactly why I picked this. It's just a tube with some O-rings on that I got from Menards. I put them on because otherwise they're grooved, the little grooved notches.
Sure.
But they fit quite nicely in there. So you can convert these to whatever you want.
Sure.
If you look at this one, it all comes apart. So you can buy a center part, a hilt, and then you can buy a different pommel.
Okay.
And it's got
so everything's real customizable.
Yeah, so I can buy this from another saber, I can buy this and this, put them together, I've got a unique saber.
Sure.
Or in future, if I want to change this, I buy another one and put a different pommel on it.
Sure.
You've got holes in them, so you do have the option of having sound.
Oh, okay.
Which I've never really bothered with, because when I'm doing events and I'm dueling, we always have music on as events.
Right.
You're not going to hear it. Unless you're stood next to me, you're not going to hear it.
Right.
And it's just more little electrical stuff I can smash, which I really don't want to pay an extra $100 to smash something up.
Right.
So we just go for standard basic stuff, but I think that looks nice.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to know more about the Rebel Legion, all the different groups, we'll post the information underneath the video and in the LarpCast actual posting. And if you want to ask questions, feel free to ask questions in there, and I'll bother him to answer some of them if he can.
Yep.
And just ask away. That's the beauty of how we do this. So we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
See you later.
And it makes a great addition to any adventures, and that's either large, medium, or small. So giving
Help me, please help me!
Permission to touch.
They're coming! They're coming!
Trying out for realms in your area. Don't be discouraged if you can't find